Hi guys, welcome back to Miscellaneous Pleasures. I am actually, just getting this set up. Um, yeah, this is perfect. No issues. So let's get into this video. So as I said, welcome back to Miscellaneous Pleasures. I am back with the Premier League preview, if you may. I'm not sure if I should call this Premier League preview, but that's what I'm going with. So yeah, I mean, you're probably watching this on YouTube channel or listening to this on the podcast. So for people who are listening to this on the podcast, I am actually showing the Premier League table. I will be showing the fixtures that are there in this game week and also the next one perhaps. I'll probably be talking about Manchester United and our fixtures and the UCL exit, stuff like that. So there will be few things on the screen, and I will make sure that I talk about what's actually there on the screen so that the listeners don't actually miss out on stuff. So yeah, I'll just begin with the Premier League preview, and I'll get to Manchester United later. I mean, this is a short one, so it's not going to take that long. We obviously have Spurs and Liverpool tied at the top of the league. I'm tied on points, and Spurs are obviously ahead on goal difference. Uh, I mean, I made a video about. I think now it must be 4 weeks or at least 3 weeks where I talked about Mourinho for the Premier League win and Spurs for the Premier League win. Um, I mean, I'm not going to say that it looks likely or it looks likelier than it did at that time, but a lot of the things have happened as I expected them to happen, like their win against Arsenal, their win against Manchester City. Or I don't know, did I make the video after the Manchester City win? I'm not sure. Anyways, the point being, they have beaten teams that you know, would have been doubted to beat, and obviously they got a draw against Chelsea, which Mourinho would probably love, even though he did say stuff like, I am happy that my players aren't happy or something like that. So I'm pretty much sure the Spurs are going to make the top three. It's just a question of whether they will be good enough to get about 85 points. And Liverpool, they're actually, I think, playing more responsibly than they would because of Virgil van Dijk's absence and all the other injuries that they have. So how they're basically playing is actually helping them because what people obviously thought, including me, that they will probably not fall off the cliff, but have a dip in their performance, and there has been a dip in their performance, but uh, you know they're still playing pretty well, and they do deserve to be at the top of the league at this moment, and they'll probably be in the top three by the end of the season. And I mean, they have 24 points from 11 games, and as I said, I think they have played much more responsibly than they would have if Virgil van Dijk was present because they obviously are trying to compensate for his absence by playing more responsibly and playing more, I won't say compact, but they're definitely not playing with the style and swagger that they usually do, but they are getting their results, and that's probably the most important thing. Like, I mean, the Wolves result was absolutely fantastic, uh, and even the Leicester City one. Like, these two results, they blew their opposition away, and I mean, they didn't blow their opposition away, but not like their usual style. But they did play really, really well. And the Brighton game, I mean, they did look a bit. I mean, tired isn't the word I would use. They probably looked a bit. In terms of creativity, there wasn't much. And obviously, Brighton got that penalty which they scored. And the Manchester City one also, like the City one, I think Manchester City dominated that game. I wouldn't say they dominated like 75-25, but they did dominate it like about 60-40. And 1-1 was probably a fair result. So these are their last four results, and rather I should say last four results in the Premier League, where they have beaten Wolves and Leicester, and they have drawn against Brighton and Manchester City. And I feel like this season they are perfectly placed to get those 85 points. It's just a question of whether they can carry this sort of streak going, because what they have done well is they have not lost much. Actually, I mean, the only game that they lost was the Aston Villa one. So they haven't lost, the games like West Ham. I think they won that 2-1 or 3-1. There was another game that they won, I remember, which was pretty close. The Sheffield United one, right? 2-1. So these results have probably helped them a lot in terms of points. But these are the sort of games that they might have lost, or rather, people would say they should have lost because they have lost Virgil van Dijk and all the injuries that they have. So hopefully, they are going to lose their upcoming at least a few games here and there, and not just win them in a whisper or draw them. I hope that they lose some games. I mean, they are playing. I don't know who they are playing. I mean, they're playing Fulham. There's no way they're losing that. The Spurs one, hopefully, it's a draw. I mean, from a United perspective, I think a draw would be a really good result, or Spurs win, because I don't want Liverpool to win the league. So Mourinho for the title, if not us, if not Manchester United, I would rather have Spurs win the league, because if Chelsea win it, then there'll be all those Lampard and all those discussions which I hate. Liverpool obviously not, Manchester City obviously not. Arsenal again. I mean, I don't think people realize this, but United and Arsenal are these fierce rivals, and there is no way Arsenal are winning it. So let's just not even talk about them. I mean, the team left is Spurs, and I wouldn't mind Spurs winning the league. I mean, it would be better if somebody like an Everton, or I don't know, Aston Villa or Leicester, not Leicester City, but Aston Villa or somebody like that could win. And yeah, so Spurs are perfectly poised, and I hope that they do win the league, if not for Manchester United, which I don't think is happening anyway. So let me not dwell on it. After Spurs, Liverpool have a game against Crystal Palace. Palace could do it. I'm not sure. I'm not going to call it, but Palace could beat Liverpool. So I hope that happens. Chelsea again. Chelsea have been in a brilliant run of form, and they have won. They beat Leeds very well. They drew against Spurs, obviously, but then they have been having good results, uh, and they're playing Everton. I mean, Everton are shit, aren't they? I mean, they are not shit like a Sheffield United has been this season, but the whole hype around that team that they had, Alan Decore and Andre Gomez with James Rodriguez, Richarlison, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and this is the reason that I have always been, in this season at least, quite confident that none of the Evertons or the Leicester Cities or the Southamptons, whoever else, Aston Villa, right? I mean, they have played two games less than others, and people like that. I'm not giving them a chance to win this league because they don't have the squad to win it. They may have the first 11 pieces of it at least, but there is no way they have the squad to do it. And yeah, so, and anyways, I think people are overhyping them because yeah, I mean, DCL has been scoring a lot of goals, but James Rodriguez, they were calling him, they were talking about him as if he is the best creative player in the world, which he isn't. And there is a reason that he struggled at Real Madrid or Bayern Munich or places like that, because if he's in form, then he could do things, but if he's not, then he's just another version of Mata. And for Manchester United fans who are listening or watching to this or watching this, you would understand what I'm saying. So, and especially when he's played on the right, that James Rodriguez on the right, like he's not going to track back the opposition left back, and it just creates a lot of troubles for the team defensively, especially now that they are also missing Dinya, who is I think out for like a couple of months or something. So uh, I mean, United have Manchester City, so I'm going to come to that game later. But and I mean, do I want to talk about Arsenal? You know what? I'm going to talk about Arsenal just for half a minute or something because their form has been horrendous to say the least in league. I mean, it does say here that they have lost three out of the last four games, and the one game that they didn't lose, they drew. I'm not sure who they drew against. It couldn't possibly be against the bigger side. Oh yeah, they drew the game against Leeds, and they were absolutely outplayed, battered by Leeds, and Leeds should have won that game. So essentially, they have, at least from their perspective, they have lost four games, or they have played badly in them, and they have to get a. I mean, there has to come a point where Arsenal has to win a game, and I don't know where that point is coming from, because Burnley, I mean, they did get beaten by Manchester City final, but Burnley are a side that could defend really well when they want to. And if they bring their A game against Arsenal, they could even beat them like 2-0 or something because, they have players who can attack in set pieces, which would be dangerous for Arsenal. But for some reason, I'm having a feeling that Arsenal are going to win this like 3-1 or 4-1 or something. It's just a guess. I don't know how right I'm going to be, but you know, uh, Leeds. Leeds is a very interesting one because for a couple of reasons. I think I mentioned this before, but if I haven't, let me mention it now. Uh, I wasn't aware of Marcelo Bielsa, and I have known him only since I suppose mid 2019 or something like that, where obviously the Spygate happened, but I never really heard of his name at that time. I mean, I didn't really bother myself with it. I just heard of the news, the Spygate and stuff like that, but I didn't really bother myself with other stuff. And I was playing Football Manager, and this guy Marcelo Bielsa, he said some things about me. He was one of the first managers to do that, where he said some really, he said things like his team is performing, his team is not really playing well. They're just getting the results. He said something like that, and I was triggered, and I said something back in the press conference, and I absolutely battered his team. And after the game, I said some things about him, and he said some things about me, and this is how it went in that game. That was my first proper introduction to him, and I was like, who is this guy? Who does he even think he is? Stuff like that. And then a few months later, I heard this story about Marcelo Bielsa and the Pep Guardiola one. I'm not sure if it was at the same time that he said it in the press conference, but one of my friends told me that story, and it was this. I think it was around the project restart and stuff where Leeds got promoted, and Marcelo Bielsa was talked about, and then this Premier League season started, and there was this hype around Bielsa, Leeds, the way he plays, and people were raving about Bielsa, and I never really joined the bandwagon at that time, but after the first few weeks, I was like, you know what, Leeds are actually a very good team. But the only problem that they had, in my opinion, was their defense, which was just not present a lot of the times. And I was under the opinion that they will definitely finish in the bottom 10 because they don't have the defense to have a better position, if you may. And I mean, right now they are 14th, and they found it difficult to beat Arsenal when Arsenal were parking the bus after they got red carded. I don't know who got red carded for them, but somebody got the red card. Yeah, it was Pepe, right? He headbutted. So I think that's going to be a problem for Leeds this season. Like, there are going to be teams towards the end of the season, and I mean they're not going to get relegated. So next season also there'll be teams that will figure out that one of the best ways to play against Leeds is to park the bus. Like, what would you do against a high pressing Liverpool side? You park the bus. That's what all the bottom 10 teams and even some of the top teams, like even United, have done it with Mourinho. like park the bus and hope to create some goal with a counter attack here and there. And teams like Newcastle, Burnley, or I'm not able to say the names now, but people like Brighton, not Brighton, they do play good football. Like Palace, Wolves, people like that, they can beat Leeds by playing that sort of a way. And Leeds do struggle to finish the chances that they create. Uh, Bamford is good, but he's not good enough. I mean, I don't know. He's probably good enough for Leeds, but he's not good enough to finish all the chances that they create. So that's going to be an interesting watch, and Leeds are always going to be an interesting watch for me. And one of the things that I was looking forward to this season was Bielsa against Arteta, Bielsa against Lampard, Bielsa against Solskjaer, as well as stuff like Bielsa against Klopp, your Mourinho's, your Ancelotti's, your Pep, people like them. And most of the things have already happened. Uh, Spurs haven't played Leeds, we haven't played Leeds, and we are about to in a couple of, yeah, in about 10, 12 days, I think about December 20th or something, we have the game against Leeds. Uh, but uh, Bielsa lost to Chelsea quite convincingly. I mean, when I say convincingly, I mean they did have a lot of their chances, but they did make a lot of mistakes. And against the big sides, it's always the mistake that you make that's going to cost you. Uh, and Bielsa effectively schooled Arteta. Uh, I don't remember. Did Leeds play Everton? Leeds did play Everton, right? I think Leeds won 1-0 or something. That was a good game to watch. I don't remember the score. I think it was a draw or Leeds won. I think it was like the Harrison guy who scored from like a 30, 35 yards. Harrison was it, or it was from somebody else? Rafinha, I'm not sure. So Leeds effectively have played a lot of their good football against good sides. It's going to be interesting. I don't know who Leeds are playing this week. They're playing West Ham. Yeah, Leeds are playing West Ham. Yeah, I just remembered. Bielsa gave up the whole lineup, right? In the press conference yesterday or the day before yesterday. So it's going to be interesting to actually see if he picks the same lineup, which I think he will, and how West Ham actually approach the game, because they are in some sort of a good form right now, or they have been this season. So it's going to be interesting. Um, yeah, I mean, I've talked enough about all the other teams in the league, and it's time that I talk about Manchester United and Manchester City. City have had a good run of results recently. Uh, they did beat Burnley 5-0, they did beat Fulham 2-0, and even though they lost to Spurs, which was I think always, I saw that result coming from a while away. They did play well against Liverpool. I did watch that game. The thing is, with Man City for majority of the season, it has been a very simple story. They have had a lot of possession. They haven't been able to create a lot of chances. They have had their strikers injured, so no focal point or anything like that. And they have been susceptible to counter attacks, but they have improved in a lot of those aspects, and they are looking like a real force. And I'm not worried about a 5-0 or 6-0 against us this weekend, but we have to win that game. I say have to for two reasons, and those two reasons are the Premier League table and the morale, right? So United obviously crashed out of the Champions League like they haven't in a long time. The last time we did this, I don't even think the LVG one counts or is similar to this one, because this time we were actually leading. We were top of the league or top of the group after 3 or 4 games, and in the first 2 games we defeated the best two sides in the group. How we managed to botch it up, yeah, I can't explain that. But the fact of the matter is that has happened now, and there's no point talking about it. Uh, so if you thought as a Manchester United fan that this week couldn't get worse, it could if you lose to Manchester City, which is why winning against them is really important. And as I said, the second factor is the table. if you see the Premier League table, I mean, obviously, United and City have obviously played a game less than others. And if a win for either one of them is going to keep up the pace with Spurs, Liverpool, and Chelsea, we're all playing. I don't know who they're all playing. I have no idea who they're all playing. But yeah, so Spurs are playing Palace. They will win it most likely. Chelsea are playing Everton. Yeah, I think Chelsea will win it, but it's going to be an interesting watch. And obviously Liverpool are playing Fulham. They're going to win it. So the winner of this game is going to keep up the pace with the top three. The loser of this game is obviously not going to do that. The person who draws this game, I mean, let's say this game ends in a draw, then I don't think it's that bad a result for Manchester United, because a draw against Man City is not a bad result. If you're going to win the league, then it probably is, but it's not a bad result. So, but that is only considering the table. If you're going to consider the morale, I think winning this game is going to be pivotal, because for a long time, since that Istanbul result and the Arsenal result, there was obviously a lot of people calling for Solskjaer's head. And I feel like United have actually played well a lot of the times this season. But these two Champions League defeats could not have come at a worse time for Solskjaer, if you just consider Solskjaer, because we have actually played well in the league as well. Though we have not started well, but we have played well, and we have had a string of good results. It's just a question of whether United are capable of what United are going to come up against City, and what is the tactic they're going to come up with. Because I don't think Martial or Cavani is fit, which just leaves Greenwood and Rashford. I mean, let's just forget Igalo because I don't think he's playing. So it's going to be very difficult, because when you only have two forward players and you have to add like Bruno Fernandes as the third, and both the forward players that we have, they're not physical enough to be number nines, it's going to be a very difficult thing. And I don't know if Cavani or Martial are back. I don't think they are. So yeah, it's going to be a very difficult game. Fred will definitely start. Bruno will definitely start. Rashford and Greenwood will. Maguire, Lindelof is obvious spare, and Van Bissaka and Teles with the Haya. So the only positions that are worth talking about, rather two positions, it's the right wing and the central midfield. If you're going for a 4-2-3-1, if you're going for a different formation, then there are two positions to talk about. I think Van de Beek has to start because he has to, or it has to be Pogba. Like, I wouldn't start Pogba for the things that have happened around him this week. And Van der Beek has actually played well when he has played, and he'll probably be very useful uh, playing against the press against Manchester City, and even to be creative enough to pick those passes for the counter attack. So I am hoping that Van der Beek starts, which leaves the other position. I mean, McTominay is going to play, right? I think it's kind of obvious that McTominay is going to play. I just hope that Solskjaer doesn't go for the diamond, because we'll get battered by Manchester City. Yeah, I mean, I don't look confident because I'm not. And yeah, how am I supposed to be confident? Because the fact of the matter is, we have just had a horrible couple of games in the Champions League, and before that, or in between them, we have had two games in the Premier League where we have played rubbish and then played really well. So there's a part of me that says we can take confidence from our wins in the Premier League, and there's a part of me which says, you know what, United are placed very well for a 4-0 final defeat, uh, which we are capable of losing. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'll probably go for a 1-1 or a 2-1 sort of result for either team. Uh, on the day, it could be anybody's. Yeah, so Yeah, I am not confident because I don't look confident because I am not confident, and I don't sound confident because I'm not. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about Pogba in this video. I'm not going to talk about Solskjaer in this video or podcast, because I I'd rather reserve my judgment for a couple of weeks now, because this is a very crucial time. I am obviously backing Solskjaer, but Pogba is a different story, and I don't want to get into it right away. So yeah, that's all for this. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. I will be back in terms of football. I'll be back with probably a video for the Manchester City game. Like, definitely the post match one, but the pre match one, I'm not sure what I'll do, but I think I'll do something. And yeah, so that's all for the football content. There's obviously other content that is there on the channel. I have just reacted to Stranger Things season 1 episode 6. I'll be reacting to Dark season 1 episode 7 and 8 probably tomorrow. And I hope that I'm able to release this video slash podcast today, because it will give ample time for viewers to watch before the Premier League kicks off this game week. And yeah, so that's all for this one. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Bye.